They won every game that was, they did literally everything that could be asked of a team. And 13 people making the subjective, not objective decision that they aren't as good anymore left them out of it. You know what happened yesterday? Football became figure skating.
College football in turmoil.
Let's talk about the Florida State Seminoles getting absolutely hosed by the playoff committee. I don't understand how these... Actually, I do understand, but there's something else that's come up, a new development as to why Florida State may have not been picked. And it's nefarious. I mean, it's just out there, conspiracy theory type stuff, but nonetheless, it's what is going on out there. So let me just show you this thing. This is the rules that they use to pick the people, the teams in the playoff. Tell me if you don't think that they built something in just in case to give them a trigger to get not just Florida State out, but anybody who might have a problem. This is from the selection committee rules, and it says in red, other relevant factors such as unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely will affect the postseason performance. So you can look at that right there, and that's their out. They're leaning on that. And the funny thing is, everybody knew about this before they even started the season, that this was one of the rules that they would use to try and get people taken out, if that were the case. So they had every right, they had every discretion, they could do what they want. They chose the 4 teams. I'm surprised Georgia didn't get in it as well. I was thinking Georgia and Alabama would both jump Texas, but they bounced Georgia and gave Alabama the nod. And Georgia, I mean, I don't know if Florida State is going to go to the Orange Bowl, which is going to be down here in South Florida, because I think Georgia, without Jordan Travis playing for Florida State, they are going to wipe the floor with Florida State. It may be a reason for Florida State to say, yeah, you know what? We don't really want to come down to South Florida. We're okay up here in Tallahassee. We understand it's a big payday, but we're just not going to play this game. That would make complete sense to me. I don't know why I would subject my kids to getting a beat down from Georgia without Jordan Travis just for a paycheck, and that's essentially what it will be. Now, what was, I won't say funny, this was actually kind of upsetting to see what went through when they found out. So here's a video of when Florida State found out that they weren't going to get into the playoffs.
Heartbroken, devastated, and I'm sure there is a lot of anger in Tallahassee.
Look at those players, man.
This just a terribly unfortunate set of circumstances that left Mike Norvell, who has done a fabulous job.
Heartbroken. There's Mike Norvell, the coach, who has to get up and explain to these guys why they're not going to the college football playoffs. No explanation was given to Mike Norvell, but let's see if we can't dig a little bit deeper, go into a little bit of the conspiracy theory closet, and see if we can figure out, was there some other reason that Florida State was given the boot? Now, it's a bit of a stretch, but just bear with me with everything we're seeing in the political landscape, with everything we're seeing with people taking Trump to court and trying 91 indictments, with everything we're seeing to trying to get him off the ballot. Then Trump goes ahead and says something about the committee today. And then DeSantis said something about the committee. So I'm going to show you an article that's on Front Office Sports, which I love to look at. And here we go. This is an article on Front Office Sports, which I've got some paragraphs I want to go ahead and highlight here for you. It says, Florida lawmakers are considering protesting the Florida State college football omission. Lawmakers are already discussing legislation to protest what they see as a major snub. I don't know how you're going to protest that. I mean, they have full discretion to pick whatever teams they want. There's nothing legally wrong that they did. It's unclear what direction a bill could take, but legislators are currently discussing multiple options. And it gets really interesting in here. It says Florida lawmakers already have an appetite to propose state legislation to protest Florida State not making the college football playoff, a source close to lawmakers told FOS, Front Office Sports. The decision was presumably made due to the strength of schedule considerations and the loss of FSU quarterback Jordan Travis, which I showed you their rule selections, what the committee can use to go and take somebody else. He broke his leg in a non-conference game against North Alabama on November 18th, and if you saw that game, it was gruesome, absolutely gruesome. How they had to pull his leg out and stretch it out. It was gross. But some lawmakers don't appear to be accepting the explanation. They're not accepting what the Rules Committee said, Selection Committee. It's unclear what direction a bill could take, but legislators are currently discussing multiple options. I don't know what they can do other than make things worse. At least 3 government officials, I know Rick Scott was one of the guys who put something out, and I know DeSantis did as well, have commented publicly so far criticizing the CFP selection process. Quote, what we learned today is that you can go undefeated and win your conference, but the College Football Playoff Committee will ignore these results, says Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Yes, they can do that. Was it a cool decision? Obviously, there's a lot of people ticked off. Former FSU and Philadelphia Eagles player Corey Simon, who is a Florida State senator, took his comments a step further, issuing an accusation of corruption at the CFP. He called for a lawsuit relating to the decision. And here was his tweet. The corruption of college football rears its ugly head again. ESPN and Disney have a vested interest in this SEC participating in the in the college football playoff. Lawsuit should be filed tomorrow. Notice what he just said there. He specifically named ESPN and Disney. ESPN owned by Disney. Disney has had a long history of problems with the state of Florida and Ron DeSantis. As this article closed, it says, the state also has a rocky relationship and has been embroiled in litigation with Disney, which broadcasts the CFP on its ESPN network. Could that be the real reason why FSU will be home and not in the college football playoff? Did the College Football Playoff Selection Committee go off the rails, do something they weren't supposed to do, solely because Bob Iger and the people at Disney said, stick it to Florida? That is a huge reach. That is a huge conspiracy, but I can't put anything past them. We've seen so much stuff happen politically. We've seen the boycotts on Twitter. We've seen so many things where normally we would say, no, that's not possible. No, nobody would ever do anything that stupid. No, nobody would screw these kids over that badly. Now we have to say, maybe that makes some sense. Maybe there is something to that. Maybe the committee didn't have the power because the people from Disney all the way up said, we don't want anything to do with Florida. Get FSU out of here. Is it possible? Anything's possible. So before I close on this story, let me just show you something. Hopefully next year, we won't have to go through this crap. It'll be over because they're moving to a 12-team playoff. They maybe should have moved to a 12-team playoff this year to avoid all this crap. That would have been the smart thing. But no, they went with the 4 teams. But next year, if we time warped and this was next year, this is how it would look. You would have Michigan, obviously still at number 1. And then Florida State would be in there. Alabama would be at 4. Florida State would be at 5. Missouri, Oregon, Washington, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, I guess that's Ole Miss, and Texas on the other side. That's a true playoff. That is a playoff I could get behind. That would be something phenomenal. I can't wait to next year. Maybe just get rid of all these stupid bowl games that don't mean anything to anybody. The toilet bowl game, it's ridiculous. And actually put more kids on the field playing for the national championship. As we know in pro football, any given Sunday, it goes the same thing on Saturdays. On any given Sunday, something could happen. I would love to see a small school like Liberty end up being the national champion. Wouldn't that be cool to see an unknown team, not an unknown, but an unheralded team step in and just go ahead and win the national championship and string together 3 or 4 games? I would absolutely love that. So that's my story on the Florida State Seminoles getting screwed over. And is it a conspiracy theory? I don't know. You guys let me know.